stick with me on this, please. I'm going to do an analogy. It's going to sound like I'm talking about Formula 1, but it is to do with West Ham. And I don't watch much Formula 1, by the way, but it's just something sort of caught my attention. When the telly was on the other day, I wasn't really watching it. It was on the background. They were doing a rerun of old seasons of Formula 1. It was Jenson Button. He was in a McLaren. McLaren were a top team. And his teammate was Lewis Hamilton, funny enough. And anyway, Jenson Button's leading this race. He's well out in front. So far in front, he's lapping people. All right? And as he's lapping someone, he catches the car he's lapping because they slowed down. His wing catches them. Not the front. Is the front one still called a wing? I think it is. Not the back one, the front one. It looks like an aeroplane. Anyway, so it catches it. And it slows him down. Not by much, by the way. Not by much. But by about a second a lap. But he's whatever. He's way out ahead. Now, they could have brought him in. They could have fixed it. They can basically go and do a pit stop. But they decided, do you know what? We don't want to waste the 20 seconds, fit the new wing. We'll carry on. They basically made a calculation. And in the end, they got it wrong. The stopping to change the wing is us making signings in January, by the way. I'm sure you knew that anyway. And gradually people caught him, and one person overtook him, and another person overtook him. And basically, because McLaren didn't do anything, he ended up finishing 7th, 8th, something like that. And I couldn't help but watch it and think, this has got a very familiar feel about it. And watching that game against Leicester, it wasn't terrible. Okay, I thought we were better in the first half. I thought Leicester were poor in the first half, but I thought we were better. Well, certainly better than we were in the second half. But it had a feel, and the whole thing has, of the last probably 2 months of us sort of coughing and spluttering and limping to the finish line, rather than really getting there with any sort of power and any pace and any conviction. And we got a point yesterday, and I do think that a point at the Walker Stadium, or whatever it's called, is a good point, generally throughout the season. Historically, it's a good point in the last few seasons. In the context of now, I'm not sure it's such a great point because I don't think they're in great form. Maybe Leicester are going to go on and have a good run of form now. I don't know, but I think Leicester were there for the taking in as much as they sort of ever usually are. Did we get lucky? I guess we did. The last bit could have been rolled off a handball. But I guess a draw was a fair result. But you don't get the impression that we're doing particularly well. And I just see us incrementally just dropping, just slightly. As I say, just by that half a second a lap, we're dropping. And at the moment, we're so reliant on Bowen. And we shouldn't be. Because Antonio should be the fulcrum of that attack. And Antonio really should be... we put all our eggs in one basket with Antonio, is my point here. And it's not worked out like that. At the moment, we're managing. We're still lapping at a decent-ish pace because we got Bowen. But the goal-scoring burden should never totally have been on Bowen. The goals are meant to be spread throughout the team. I guess you could look, and Dawson scored, and that's a great thing. But actually, when you look at the team, if you've been looking at the team for any length of time, as we all do, because we're West Ham fans, it's hard to make the case that we look dangerous with a whole load of players able to score. You feel almost lucky when we do. And Antonio's loss of form is a massive issue. And I made reference in the review yesterday to Antonio not receiving service. And it's something we say a lot to excuse him for when he has a bad game. Antonio hasn't received good service. And I think by and large, that is true. I think Antonio has not received particularly good supply line in recent games. That being said, when Antonio's on top form, he doesn't need it. When Antonio's on top form, he terrorises defenders. He turns a bad pass into a good one. He'll use his brutish strength. He'll use his pace. If the ball goes a little bit wide, it doesn't matter. He'll run the channel. You've seen him do this to Connor Cody, always sticks in my mind. And he'll run along and he'll shake them off and almost leave them on the floor, and then he'll cut inside and it'll be a driving run, and you get to the end of the game and you do a review and you'll often say, I bet those defenders are pleased to see the back of Michail Antonio. I bet they're absolutely delighted not to play him again next week. I don't get that impression in the last few games. I don't think he's really concerned the centre-backs at all. And at his best, he just makes things happen. And because even if he's not getting the supply, he will impose his strength, he'll impose his pace, he'll impose almost his will to win. excuse me, and the whole team, and Antonio really typifies this, just look absolutely knackered at the moment. I mean, they really do. I mentioned yesterday in the review that we seem to be playing pass and stand still rather than pass and move, but we've just had another break. This is not going to be a massive surprise to anyone, but it's just painful watching because you can see what it's happening. It looks like it's happening in slow motion. Before I go any further, this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. I remembered. Hey, there you go. The OneFootball app, you can download it by using the link below. Why would you download the OneFootball app? Well, the reason you would do so is because when you sign up for the OneFootball app, you click on it that you support West Ham, and it was all the West Ham news from the internet and newspapers and everywhere else into one place, so you don't have to go searching for it. Best of all, it's free. Use the link below. They'll know you've come from Hammers Chat. Does us a massive favour. Or you can click that QR code. I've never figured out how you're meant to click the QR code when you're actually using your phone to watch this video. I don't know. Probably use the link underneath, but there's a QR code anyway. OneFootball app. It's a great app. Unfortunately, it's not going to really give you any massively good news about West Ham at the moment. Everything is not doom and gloom at West Ham. Far from it. We are still in the FA Cup. We're still in Europe. Obviously, we're still doing really well in the Premier League. But for us to... We've got to get out of this melee. We've got to get out of this... I don't want to call it laziness, because it's not. Because we do... We've got an energetic team. We've got a fit team. We've got a hungry team. And I don't mean they're being lazy, but there's something missing. There's a spark missing. There's an effervescence, if you like, a fizz missing from our game. And... whilst we're all in the whilst we understand we're in the Europa League, whilst we're in the FA Cup, if we don't get that fizz back, if we don't get it back, then it is just going to peter out. We are going to be Jensen Button that incrementally gets caught by the end of the race. We may well find ourselves in 7th or 8th or something like that. And we don't need to be, but make no mistake about it, we don't know who we're going to draw in the Europa League, but it's going to be someone good, isn't it, really? And that's fine, because at our best... and I mean this, at our best, even with that team that we can put out at the moment, we're as good as anyone. And I'm not saying, I mean on the day, by the way, I'm not saying we're as good as Borussia Dortmund or as good as Barcelona, but on our day, we can give anybody a game. But not at the moment. There's a lethargy, there really is. And I don't know what it is. He almost looks like Antonio, like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders as well. And I guess in many respects he has, because he's got the whole burden of the team on his shoulders, because by not buying anybody else, we've pretty much said to Antonio, maybe not in words but in actions, it's all on you, mate. This is on you. We're entrusting you with leading the attack. And he's not able to lead the attack anymore. And I don't mean for good, but at the moment he's not. At the moment Bowen's leading the attack, but from a wide position. And if you look at the last few games, Bowen has had to go searching all across the pitch. Far more, when Antonio's in form, you will not see Bowen popping up on the left and as central as he does. Obviously, he'll pop up and he scores goals. But he's having to go searching for space and go searching for areas of the pitch where he can do damage, because... and I'm not just blaming Antonio here, because the rest of the attackers are not really doing it. Fornals ain't really attacking at the moment. Did a video about Benrahma the other day, and about him needing to be in the box more and getting more central. And I don't think there's no surprise. I'm not saying Benrahma came on and well, he did. I think he did change the game actually, because I think his shot led to the goalkeeper making a save, which led to Dawson's goal. But he was willing to attack, and he was willing to have shots. And sometimes you get the impression Moyes gets frustrated with him. But I think actually Moyes, do you know what? Actually, someone having shots is even if they're not the shots you'd choose them to have, are better than nobody doing anything. Because attack is just not functioning. And I do believe the reason for that is Antonio's lack of form. How do we get him back up to form? I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's an easy association to make that he signed his new contract, and because of that, his form has petered off. It is... Look, Antonio was struggling to do a full season anyway, before he had international duty. I don't know how many times he's played for Jamaica this season. Possibly 5, 6, 7 games. It'll be one of those. He's not really got it in him. He's not really I don't mean fit in terms of sharpness, but his body's not built for an extra 5, 6 or 7 games on top of what he's going to be asked to do and lead the line in Europe. We've asked too much of him. And I understand the goalposts might have been moved because when we decided that he was going to be the main man in the attack, that he wasn't going to play for Jamaica. I understand the goalposts have moved on that one. But we still had January to sort that out. I'm worried about it. I am worried about it. Because at the moment... in fact, we'll get into what Sam Maximan been thinking about our fullbacks in tomorrow's video. But I do worry with some of the games coming up. That was going to be one of the easier ones. Leicester City had a makeshift defence. They really did. The guy, Marty, who played next to Sonchu, he was a bag of nerves. If you look at that, under normal circumstances, don't mean it to be nasty, but Antonio would have destroyed him. I mean, he really, really would have done. He would have absolutely destroyed him. I've also noticed Antonio's going down a lot more than he used to as well, whereas before he would have shaken someone off. If it was 50-50, if he was starting to lose his balance, he'd carry on running, he'd shrug the guy off. Now he's going down a lot. I don't know what's going on with him. I think at his best, I think he's a fantastic player. I don't even blame him. I think he needs help. I blame Moyes and I blame whoever's in charge of recruitment, the board or whatever the case may be. I don't know. It's hard to know who's to blame, but I don't blame Michail Antonio. Michail Antonio should never have been a main striker at a football club who are involved in European football and contesting at the top of the league. He never should have been. He's a converted winger who's done really, really well up front. And I can't help but thinking, every time I've seen him recently, he actually looks a little bit better when he does go wide, which is not a good thing at all. I do wonder, I think so much of this was based on David Moyes bringing in Jesse Lingard, by the way. I really do. Because I think that would have added that spark, that fizz to the attack. It would have galvanised everybody. It would have given the dressing room a lift. It would have given the attack a lift. And I actually thought when he came on from Man United the other day, I thought he looked decent. He does pass and move. It's touch and go. Touch and go. Sounds like a shampoo, doesn't it? I don't know. I think a lot was placed on it. I've got a feeling that David Moyes probably thought that Lingard had signed, and it didn't happen. And the moment that doesn't happen, then the attack starts to look stale. It does look stale. What's he going to do? I don't know, but he definitely needs to do something. Otherwise, as I say, going back to the start of the video, you're just watching it incrementally, lap after lap after lap. Our standards just dropping a little bit. We got a little bit lucky because, fortunately, Man United standards are dropping a bit. Tottenham are struggling. It doesn't seem to matter who they have as players, who they have as managers. That they struggle there. But I think it's important that we're not like that as well. Wolves are, you're looking at it now. You can't rule out Wolves finishing above us, really, can you? Because they have momentum and we don't. Next game is massive. I'm going. Taking my son. It's his birthday, so I'm going. To that game. Massive game. Massive game. We've lost a little bit of spark and we're playing a club in form. So, fingers crossed. But at the training ground this week, I don't know whether they rest him, whether they train him more or whatever. Somehow, they've got to get an injection of sharpness into Michail Antonio.